Well, hey, everybody. You've reached Pacific Ocean Asia. I had to say something about this because I work with students. I drive school buses for Denver Public Schools. I am proud of my job as a school bus driver. I love working with students. Students are a challenge. Working with students is both rewarding, trying, can be character building, and can show us a lot about ourselves. Obviously, I am shocked. I live in Colorado. Colorado in 1999, I was driving for Denver Public Schools, and I came into the break room at our bus garage, and I wondered why everybody was in a certain area of the break room where the TV and the pool table was, and they said, well, there was a school shooting. I went into the room to see what all the ado was about, and suddenly it was announced that it was at Columbine. And everybody gasped, Columbine? That's just outside Denver. That's over there, Jefferson County. It was the worst school shooting in U.S. history. I watched hours of coverage. That day, I went out to do my after-school activity busing. Went out to one of the middle schools. I pulled up. There was not a car in the parking lot except a couple, and I thought, wow, where is everybody? Shut off the bus, went into school. The minute I opened the door, a lady greets me and said, excuse me? I said, ma'am, I'm the ASA bus driver. Where is everybody? Sir, haven't you heard? We've canceled all ASA. Didn't you hear what happened at Columbine? I said, yeah, I heard about it. She said, no, we've canceled all after-school activities because we don't want any copycat crimes. And yeah, the very next day, all high schools and middle schools were closed. All we ran was elementary school routes. Well, today, Broward County, I think it's Parkland, Florida, 17 dead, many injured, and an expelled student from last year came in and pulled the fire alarm. And as people were dealing with the fire alarm, he took out as many people as he could. There's good students out there, but I work with students. And I'm here to tell you, there's a lot of bad students too. This individual responsible for today's mayhem obviously had some problems. I'm glad he's under arrest. And it doesn't do any good to say the things that come to my mind when I see an individual who has wrought so much pain and grief on Valentine's Day. Many parents tonight are going to be shattered, are already shattered because of the loss of their child. Several teachers were taken as well, is what I understand. And there's a possibility that before sunup tomorrow, others may well die, depending on the extent of their injuries. It seems that people who are doing things today are trying to do something to one-up the last form of evil atrocity. And we need to take the time to thank God that with as many public schools as are in session in the United States on a given day, with the numbers of students, staff, faculty, everything, that most days go safe. That this is not the norm. All the think tanks, all the armchair experts will sit there and talk about how this can be solved. People will say, oh, we need more gun control. Pacific grew up with guns. I knew exactly where they were. They were in my father's closet. The bullets, the cases that held the bullets. And I grew up being somewhat dysfunctional in a dysfunctional family. I took a hunter safety course. I never played with guns. I always saw them as a danger to myself and others. I left them in the closet. I handled them with care when I had to move them and clean the closet. I never held them up. I never played with them. And no matter how bad life got for Pacific, I was bullied, I was harassed. I never once thought about picking up a gun, going to school, and taking out people. Oh, I thought of revenge. Let the air out of somebody's tires, damage something of theirs, but taking somebody's life? I could give a million reasons, theories, and opinions as to why we have kids doing this today. But I think for the sake of being respectful to the grief, to the tragedy, I think the last thing that's needed is a whole bunch of public opinion. I think that we need to pray God's protection. I think that we need to, those of us that have children, need to make sure that they know that we love them. And I think that we need to realize in this nation, no matter what political party you belong to, no matter what your faith is, that in all the years, in my 52 years of existence, that a lack of discipline with today's youth has opened up some real problems for the entire rest of us. That parents' failure to discipline and take care of their children and rear them up properly. I'm not implying anything about this shooter because I don't know his background or his parents or anything. But me working with students, I am polite and professional to my kids. I don't scream and yell at them. I treat them with respect. And every so often I come across a bus route I'm asked to cover because a driver called in. And I run up against those kids that nothing you do is going to work. The kids that they just got evil in their heart all the time. This is a reality. And we as a society have allowed kids in many instances to have more rights than the parents. And that's not right. I chose this gun site as my motive today, not to be funny, but to say that every one of us is in the crosshairs with disturbed and troubled people. It could be any one of us that are looked at through the sight or periscope, or the gun scope, I should say, not periscope. That's submarines. We as a society need to reflect on the importance of modeling more than talking. We need to talk, we need to communicate, but we need to model in our own selves behavior that makes kids feel secure, it makes them feel safe, it makes them feel loved. And they need to know that my mommy and daddy love me, but they're not going to tolerate nonsense. That this boy believes in applying the Board of Education to the seat of learning, i.e. spanking. That this white boy is going to say something that is the elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about, but it's disturbing. And I work with a lot of ethnicity. I work with a lot. Somalian, Nigerian, Nepalese, Chinese, Vietnamese. We have a lot of students in Denver Public Schools from all over the world. I'm proud to be working for a district that is so vastly diverse. I've had my own issues with certain ethnic behaviors and what they call cultural norms. But I also take a good look at my own white background, and I am not ashamed to be white. I make no apologies for it. I love diversity, but it disturbs me when all of the school shootings that I know of in my lifetime have all been done by white, middle-class kids, boys. And it begs the question, what is the problem? Now, there's problems in the black African-American camp. There's problems in the Hispanic camp. Everybody knows that. But why is it that the white kids go to such extremes to draw national attention by hitting a school, a mall, a Batman movie at the Aurora Theater just next door to Denver, Colorado? I know one thing. Everybody yells about gun control. I see the way people drive. More people are killed every day in America by bad, careless, reckless drivers that have no regard for speed limits, turn signals, following distance, proper behavior, politeness, etiquette, and lawful driving. Nothing's done about that. Gun control is not the answer. Do you know how many Americans own guns, pistols, and weapons of all kinds and hunting rifles, and they don't think about grabbing the gun and shooting people? Self-defense, yes. But going into schools, and you know as well as I do that the alarm will be sounded by those radical fringe, and I call them radical fringe. We need more gun control. Not one of them will talk about the need for paddling your children when they say F you. To paddle children that are disrespectful to authority, teachers, bus drivers, cops, ministers, parents, elders. Sometimes I get disgusted when I see the direction that America has taken. There is such a thing as abuse, and I don't condone abuse at all. But there is such a thing as enabling. There is such a thing as allowing people and students to remain unchecked. Dr. Spock wrote a book years ago saying that you shouldn't spank children, you'll damage their egos. I want to tell you all parents something, if any of you are listening. I work with students, and most of them don't have damaged egos. In fact, on the contrary, they have too much esteem of self, not lack of self-esteem. Check Facebook for all your daughter's scantily clad pictures of look at me, and 9,000 selfies. No, one of the biggest problems of our era is there seems to be little accountability, little or no discipline. And our laws have even gone so far as to make parents afraid that if they leave a mark, the kid can call Child Protective Services and boom, they're done. All this needs to be revisited. All this needs to be looked at. There's a difference between abuse and a proper paddling. And I hate to say this, even if you administer a proper spanking, a butt could be red and a mark could be left. There's a difference between slicing somebody's buns open and a red mark and possibly a mark that lasts for a few days. It's sad what happened in Florida tonight, and I wanted to make my comments known that I never thought I would say this, but there's times when I ask, what am I doing this for? When I have the cute little black girl with braids come up and call me by name when I cover their route, you're back, just for today. Oh, I wish you were back. We like you. And then I've had those routes where kids are slicing the vinyl off the back of the bus seats. Every other word is the F word. I ask them repeatedly to sit down and have to stop the bus and ask them to move. And the rude response that I get, many times I think, why am I doing this? Why am I submitting myself to this? And the answer's the same. I like driving a bus. I like working with people. And I think, you know what? If we all retreat, who's going to make a difference in the life of our youth? But trust me, there are days when I go, some kid could lose himself or herself. And I hope to God, if that day ever comes where it happens with me present, that I handle things in a right way where we can redirect or do evasive measures to avoid a tragedy. Believe me, when I look at the direction many of our leaders and our youth are taking in our country today, and the lack of discipline and the lack of respect and the disrespect level of the police, and I will tell you, there are cops that are arrogant, there are cops that are rude, and I don't like it. But most law enforcement officers do their job, and they do it right, and they do it well. There are a few bad apples in every bunch. And not one person was complaining about police brutality when they showed up full force at that Douglas High School today. We still need law and order. We still need order. We still need discipline. We still need structure. And a year later, this kid comes back, loaded for bear. I'm glad they caught him. But will he change? Will he ever feel remorse? I have no idea. This is Pacific. Stay tuned.